It's been a while, hasn't it? Welcome back to the DecompresSean Cast. That's right, episode 15. What can I say? I'm fucking back and better than fucking ever. We have so much to go over. My god, it's been a while. Last one was in November. Holy fucking shit. So much has changed, so much has happened, and I guess let's just get right into it. First major thing, obviously, is that we're at the end of May, and I've been attempting another one of these little challenge things, and I fucking failed. That's right, this is coming out on the last day of May, so, it's pretty obvious that I ended up failing the challenge for various reasons. So, I might go over some of those things, why it failed, but also why I'm not really too worried about it. I would say overall. DAMSC 2 really did fail from the start. Kind of like I described in really the first video for it, was that this was a totally spontaneous kind of idea of mine, really, to kind of get back into the flow of things, get back into the groove and whatnot, and how I was just kind of getting out of my comfort zone again, because I was kind of falling into the laziness trap, really, of kind of doing the same thing every day, and this challenge was really meant to kind of break that up and to, flex those muscles again. I kind of always cite that as something, that I usually end up doing and that kind of thing, and it's very helpful for me. And, creating videos, making stuff, kind of scratched that itch that hadn't been scratched in a while. And, I wasn't really doing a whole lot since, releasing my lecture back in August of last year. That was kind of the big coom, really. And, I kind of didn't feel like working on things and kind of just got interested in other things, really. And of course, one of those things, all the way back then in November, was fucking getting hardcore into D&D, as was a prevalent topic in a handful of DAMSC 2's videos, and completing all of Critical Role, which I may get into later. But among those things, I would say, and consuming various media, stalling on various media, making stuff myself wasn't, either to me at the time, as interesting or relevant, or I just focused on other things, like I said. And I'm also starting to get a little more wary, I guess I would say, of even attempting to make things, right? Because even if I have all these video ideas and I can make them for a daily video 4-month challenge, or at least attempt one, I find it harder to find appropriate time to record, if that makes sense. And I kind of try not to, kind of disrupt the house that I'm in, and I have to have light as well. That's like something you may have noticed in DAMSC 2's videos, was kind of a consistent lighting setup, really, which would require me to wake up and be available at a time that the sun is out. So unfortunately, that was something that I struggled with to, it sounds so lame, the way I fucking put it, but to find time to record when no one is around so I can, increase the volume and, say what I really want to say and that kind of thing, sounds so lame, but it is kind of true. And it was difficult for me during May, during several weekends, because there was just always people around. As I tweeted about one of the weeks, I got totally interrupted by family coming over for like a Thursday to Sunday or some insane, or Wednesday to Sunday fucking part of the week in the middle of May there. And that totally threw me off, among the other things that I've already said. But that was like a huge thing, because I had people in the room next to me for a large portion of those days and of that time, to where it's not like I couldn't record, but finding the time to do so, to have it sound good, make sure there wasn't any kind of raucous, yelling or playing of other games or whatever, to be there, and the internet being used and whatnot, etc., etc. I think you get the point. That was certainly another reason among many. And that's the other thing too, right? Failure. I failed this challenge. It's very obvious. It's self-evident. But that doesn't really worry me, because I have nothing to prove. I did it last year. I basically did it to as much of a T as I could last year. I achieved it. I accomplished it. I did the thing. And, this being a follow-up to it, like I said, was spur of the moment. Was, hey, I really am just not doing great here. Let's do something different. Similar in spirit to me doing the first one, but not as well planned out. My first one, I had a handful of months of planning leading up to that, to the first challenge of, DAMSC, and I had videos already done before that month even started for my first challenge. Me doing that in July back then, all those years ago. This was a lot less thought out, a lot less planned out, a lot more of a spontaneous act of creativity, and to really like find that sort of groove again, which I honestly feel like I did. I feel like I remember, at a point during this challenge, I remembered how to make fucking thumbnails, and, I kind of have a style for that, and kind of have in mind what makes a good thumbnail, kind of, fucking big text, decent image of what you're talking about, and then maybe if I want to be funny and personable, throw on some red glasses, on the fucking character or whatever. Much better than DAMSC 1, really. If we'll recall, some of those thumbnails were like completely black with like one thing on them at first. Pretty fucking funny. A lot of the thumbnails had like no text, or if they did have text in the thumbnail, they were the Kingdom Hearts font, which a lot of people complained about. So, between now and then, the thumbnails recently have had a easier to read, more prevalent text that I kind of have a style for that I like, kind of akin to my GX 101 sort of thumbnail style. And even then, I wouldn't even say that is like the perfect godsend of all thumbnails. It is a good thumbnail, but it does fuck up some minor YouTube rule stuff, I would say. But hey, let's get into that, shall we? Lecture stuff, follow-up lecture stuff. It's been a while, obviously. Haven't talked about anything like that for the most part. One thing I have written down here from, all those months ago was, quote, lecture not popping off as much as I hope, but I don't mind. The lecture, it is kind of popping. It's like, I want to say my third or fourth most viewed video, something like that. And it's honestly, I do agree with the I don't mind part. Maybe at the time it had lower views or something, I don't know, but the lecture is kind of climbing towards 2K at the moment. I'm pretty pleased with that. I think one of the stated goals, I want to say, from like an earlier DecompresSean, or might have been in the first edition of DAMSC, was the lecture being like a video, like it was like quote unquote, I said a video with 1,000 or more views or something like that, which I've already cracked. So in that vein, I don't mind too much, of course, but that really was a labor of love. And you know, not a magnum opus, but just like such a beefy work, you know, such a fucking a journey, a fucking 6-hour journey, really. And you know, something that I hope maybe people will finish, as many have commented that they, you know, didn't even finish, or in some rare cases didn't even watch, which would maybe be even more insane than not finishing. So I will say that, you know, like kind of like I said before, GX AMV work started and, you know, is still projects in Premiere. It's more so that my focus just completely shifted, and my ideas for those still remain and everything, but one reason I, you know, kind of stalled on that as well was I was having to re-render GX clips, and to use them in a more suitable format, you know, like a 1080p kind of thing, I was having to handbrake a lot of episodes, and that was one thing that just kind of stalled me working on those AMVs, to be honest. And a lot of the basic creative work for those videos are done. It is just like very tedious sort of editing and inserting and figuring out kind of what clips you know, I want to put in to convey XYZ emotions, like that kind of thing. And you know, those things will come out whenever they do. Although, you know, that's something I enjoy, obviously, editing and making videos, as is self-evident. Those are also like labors of love. They really do kind of take a lot of work, and a good well, I don't want to say a good AMV will have snappy editing, but most good AMVs usually have like pretty on point and or snappy editing / effects. So I'm trying to do a little, you know, do something pretty dense with those videos. But you know, they're really just on the back burner, and have been for all these months. You know, as much as I'd prefer to focus on that stuff, it's not easy. That kind of video, you know, making a video in that vein is not easy. But you know, I would enjoy it, and maybe that's something I'll try to get back to during the summer, mayhaps. As I said before, or actually I may not have said before, but I finished Critical Role. I literally finished all of it, and it's kind of been this like big sort of relief, really, for me. That was like, you know, fucking climbing a mountain of media, truly, and finishing that shit it has just kind of like freed me from it in a really weird way. Having been caught up on all that stuff, my focus can now be, you know, diverted elsewhere. And you know, I've stated that I'm going to be doing some more stuff for the campaign that I'm in with my friends. I'm going to be doing some extended rewatch summaries and whatnot. That shouldn't take too long, but goddamn, after that, work's got to get started on Yu-Gi-Oh stuff again. I really, you know, I do proclaim and desire to consume, you know, more stuff, more better stuff, things I'll get into later in this podcast without a doubt. But I really need to focus. I really need to not get off track too much. I'm bringing oh my god, I'm being rather fairly efficient with my, what I'm doing. I'm like almost always trying to do something relevant, watch something relevant, that I'll enjoy and whatnot. And I'm doing those things, whether it take a lot of time or not as much time, whether it's something I fall asleep to or, consume out of pure enjoyment personally or out of something recommended by someone. I'm trying to just be generally efficient and doing okay at that, I would say. I'm definitely not doing nothing by any means. That's kind of a relevant theme through DecompresSean Cast, I would say. But yeah, I'm straying pretty far off topic. I'm pretty sure I have more lecture things to say in these regards. If no one was aware, I published my giant 50 plus GX note page, like Google Doc. Big old Google Doc was published. That was featured in one of the videos of DAMSC 2. I don't know if anyone else was wanting to view that document or had any comment on that. I'll try to make sure to link it in this video. And in another vein of lecture stuff, in the last, whatever it is, 6-7 months since the last DecompresSean, the blooper footage is out. It was completely edited in a handful of nights. I really hit the grindstone and released it. Almost 2 hours of footage was cut down to, I want to say like 20-ish. Honestly forgot. But that video was pretty good. A lot of funny moments that did not end up in the final product of the lecture, really. So I hope people liked that video. Seemed to get a fair amount of views. It was cut down to about 25 minutes from almost 2 hours of raw footage. And yeah, what else? What other lecture stuff? As previous Sean probably predicted rather correctly, I decided fuck the more detailed time code breakdown and also fuck the subtitling, because that was work. That was a lot of work. I was optimistic back then because of me discovering Premiere's auto sub feature, but they're just horrible. They just don't follow what is actually being said, because it is kind of hard to tell, right? With having 8 people in a Discord call and having all of them audible and whatnot. However, I would have to manually go in and do that shit. So that totally just dissuaded me from ever getting to that. That is something that probably won't ever happen. Either having them be correct or having them be insanely incorrect to be published I just don't see it happening. I also don't see the need for a more detailed time code breakdown, being that I already have a time code breakdown. It's just like a pre-GX, general Yu-Gi-Oh! Season 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think that's just enough for the sections. Because if I go more detailed than that, it just starts to get into the really nitty-gritty. What do I even put time codes for? And rather more importantly, above all this, is it can't fit into the fucking description. The description is starting to get so fucking long, or at least already was for that video. Publishing the notes document itself in the description of that video, as well as the one I made for DAMSC 2, was, revealing that I almost have filled that entire description, and adding in more time codes stuff. Sure, maybe it makes a better YouTube video or whatever. I don't think anyone really gives a shit now. YouTube can track your watch history, so you can just pick up wherever you left off, most of the time at least. So I don't think a more detailed time code is necessary for the video at all. So Sean from 6 or 7 months ago was completely correct in assuming that I would not do those things because they are not necessary and are too much work. However, one thing that I did complain about in the previous DecompresSean, funnily enough, was not having a second monitor and running out of storage. Both things which I have alleviated in the meantime because I got a slightly better monitor for a very good deal and an NVMe SSD in the meantime. Not very big or anything. I went pretty conservative, seeing as, like I was saying previously, my rig is, 5 or 6 years old roughly. So I got like a 512 gig SSD, but I had to, make sure it worked with my build and whatnot and that kind of thing. Although I'm still fairly low on storage in my other drives, my E is basically completely free, that being my new one. So I'm rocking 350 gigabytes free on that one, around 120 on my hard drive, and a rather low 16 on my C. So might have things to clean up there, but that is a problem that has been alleviated. However, one problem that hasn't been alleviated in the meantime was I said I might get a new phone soon. However, that is a problem that I had to deal with in the last 24 hours. It was a little frustrating, but I don't even want to get into that, to be honest, but I may get a new phone around the end of the year. I might try to go for an iPhone 14. Yes, I know, big meme, haha, iPhone user, not, this guy is not Giga Chad, big brain, fucking non-Apple user. I don't know, I just don't really give a shit. My phone is fucking old at this point, and most of our family has had iPhones, and we're just keeping it simple. Maybe if I'm off alone on my own someday, maybe I'll look into it and get something different. But hey, who knows, right? Fucking phones or whatever. But yeah, I might get a new one when new one come out. Shock of all shocks, I know. But yeah, those three things, monitor, storage, and phone, were topic points on the last one that I thought I would follow up on. And yeah, I'm basically, I guess this is another thing too, is I still haven't got a job. I've applied to a plethora. I applied to some literally yesterday. It is not very easy to hire me, I guess, and depending on the timeline of things, I may need to do something a little more drastic or severe about that. I sort of have a pseudo plan that if I don't find something within the next month or so, to go get my license. I think it's time. I think me having the restriction to have my position be remote is currently not viable for the kind of job or jobs I'm looking for. Some kind of IT work, that kind of thing, usually would require some kind of in-person thing, perhaps at first. Maybe that's kind of my end goal, really, is to have some sort of job where I go in at first, and then, hey, maybe it does become remote for XYZ reason, and that kind of thing. But yeah, that being said, I guess one kind of discrepancy between what I've just talked about is sort of how I even got some of those things. And I would say A lot of it was just kind of saving money. The last one I recorded, the last DecompresSean, was right after my birthday, and of course Christmas was in the meantime. So between that, farming my good boy points and other things, I was able to pick up this second monitor for a real good deal and expand my storage. But my phone stuff is all through my family, so in the meantime, just gotta be patient with that stuff, and I'm totally cool with that. And hopefully next time, I'll get a red phone, that'll fit more. It'll fit my vibe, my color scheme, But yeah, I guess I'm gonna transition now. Topics again. Don't clip that out of context. But I have stalled, as you can maybe tell, because I've kind of shifted my media focus so drastically. Between now and the last DecompresSean, I completely stalled on Berserk. I didn't continue at all. I'm pretty ashamed of that. I really, as I kind of stated in one of my DAMSC 2 videos, I really want to continue Berserk. It was really good. But like I said, a lot of my media focus between the end of November of last year and now was basically just consuming all of Critical Role and kind of catching up with that, which was a huge time sink. And I don't mean that in a bad way, because the Mighty Nine is like one of the fucking greatest things of all time. But that's besides the point. Right? So, unfortunately, or fortunately, I really should continue Berserk, because it is something that I heavily and thoroughly enjoyed and just want to continue. But hey, how about that? If the DecompresSean Cast is coming back, we got to continue Berserk, all right? Let's read some Berserk between now and the next one, And in that vein, I would say I'm still caught up with One Piece. It is so fucking good. It is amazing how a manga after 1,050 chapters is still fucking goated, and Oda can still introduce characters at this stage of the fucking game that are just like literally amazing and fucking 10 out of 10. And I guess I'll just let you guys know of something that one of my planned DAMSC 2 videos was a fucking Yamato video. Or should I say Yamagoat, literally the greatest to ever do it. And how I kind of want them to join the crew. I don't know if there was kind of some dialogue that okay, I'm getting flustered here. I just need to take a deep breath. Yamato, him, there was some dialogue where they said they wanted to join the crew or something like that, or like they were going to, like, quote unquote set sail with Luffy after he left or something like that. And I don't know, it might be just a big fucking meme. It might just be a total red herring or whatever. And people have also stated that they want Momo to join the crew, which I'm not as keen on. But I really would like Yamato to join the crew. Third wait a minute. I was about to do a bad. Third female. Yes and no. Him, female body, they seem so fucking cool. They seem fucking OP. I think their general power level, their demeanor, their character would fit for the Straw Hats, and considering too that we have people like fucking Jinbei in the crew and whatnot, so I don't know. I really vibe with Yamato. I really think they're like the fucking crown. Like they're just like the star of Wano in my eyes in so many ways. And I'm Yamato addicted. I'm Yamato high. I'm on the Yamato train. truly. I don't know if it's a healthy, let's just say, but I am a Yamato enjoyer, and would just love to see them join the crew. I don't know if it's like insanely deep or like much deeper than that, but I just think it would be sick as fuck. I feel like we've had the same Straw Hats for a while, but my only gripe, I personally want this so badly, but my logical brain really be like, here's why it won't happen. I was about to say Yoda. No, Oda. Said a while ago, so there will only be like a certain number of Straw Hats or something, and I don't know whether or not to like take him at his word, and just for general story reasons as well, that like maybe Yamato has to stay behind for XYZ reason, but I feel like that's so antithetical to the character. Like their whole desire is to follow Odin's footsteps and go out to sea, etc., etc. So whether that means joining the Straw Hats or them having some sort of alliance, or maybe Yamato goes to lead the Heart Pirates or whatever. I don't even remember what happened to them. Yikes. I don't know. I think regardless, Wano is approaching the end. Wano is probably within its last, what do we want to say, lads? 20 or less chapters, maybe that's a fair bet, maybe that's an unfair bet. I honestly have no idea. I would love to see some kind of advancement or development and have Yamato join. I think it would be fucking sick. I just really love their design, and third God, how do I want to phrase this? Third a female body in the crew. How about that, lads? I think it would really balance things out. We would have a character who is nothing like Robin or Nami at all, and is just bussin'. Yamato bros, where you at? Yama bros, rise up. I think it's our time. Some people say Momo. We'll see. I really want to see what his aged up form looks like. That is something that highly interests me for his kind of design, and will he be more like Odin, or like what will Yamato's reaction be to seeing him again in the human form? Will Yamato, oh fuck, did I say she? Will Yamato, look at Momo like, oh my god, you need to go with the Straw Hats, and I can tidy up things here, or what? How is the whole Shogun of Wano thing handled? Does Momo take up the mantle, or does Hiyori take up the mantle, his sister? And what are the ramifications of that? And what are the Marines doing? Oh my god, there's so many fucking things to think about with One Piece. It's amazing, but my heart would love Yamato to join the crew, but my mind says it probably will not happen in all likelihood. Whether or not we want to take Oda at his word that there's only going to be a certain number of Straw Hats, I forget, what interview or whatever, or SBS or whatever it's from, I forget, but it is in my mind that there was some either number or cap that, he previously stated, but whether or not he'll follow that, whether or not it was just a fucking lie, it was a joke, it was a meme, whether or not, people counted the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny. that was like another thing, was like, do you count like the ships? I honestly forget the arguments for that stuff, but it's just things in my mind, I guess I would say. So, yeah, those are my overall thoughts on kind of One Piece, general Yamato stuff, general New Piece, and whatnot. But manga, tangentially, other manga stuff. Fujimoto Giga Chads, where you at? How you doing? Keep it moving. What? See, I said this in my media video, that media roadmap video that didn't get a lot of views in DAMSC too, but I hope to read Fire Punch someday. But like I said in the last DecompresSean Cast, was like, I just finished fucking Chainsaw Man and am somewhat excited for that anime adaptation to come out as well. And man, what a fucking good manga. I think we gotta save power, lads. I think we gotta do it. Can't wait for it to continue. Honestly, I've read one of his one-shots in the meantime, the Goodbye Eri. Pretty damn good one-shot, I would say. Very funny, like condensed, interesting story there, I would say. The Goodbye Eri one-shot, very Fujimoto, very recent Fujimoto stuff. But yeah, like I said, I can't wait to go back and read Fire Punch at some point. The guy seems like kind of like a fucking rising star of like fucking shonen manga dude. So I'm hoping he can continue. Seems like he's a pretty like relatable guy, who he's kind of been compared to like the Tarantino of fucking manga or some shit. I don't know how valid like those sort of claims are, but he just seems like a dude who enjoys like what he does. Like he does the art for art's sake, and maybe has kind of like made claims at some point in a rather funny way to like, not think too deeply about it. Like, this, you really don't need to be like, this is fucking, I'm 14 and this is deep or whatever, but in some cases that can be the case. But yeah, I guess Fujimoto bros have been eating good. Probably all of this time in all reality. But also Hunter x Hunter bros. I never was a Hunter x Hunter bro, but let me know what you think about the lad coming back. What's his name? I don't remember. Fuck. I'm sorry, bros. I'm failing you, but I never was one of you. Togashi, illustrated by Togashi. Okay, so Togashi bros, how you doing? Hope you're doing good. You're eating a little better with your man. Posting some drawings. But yeah, what else? One thing. There's a comment on the last DecompresSean. I just need to address it really quickly. That I didn't talk about Sora and Smash. That fucking sucks. I would have probably made a video on it for DAMSC too. But, instead you're watching this. So, I guess all I will say is my reaction to that was true and sincere. And I would recommend going back and rewatching that if you haven't already. There's a rather kind of heartfelt, soulful reveal, I guess you could say, among other things, because I guess I can just explain it here, that was important. That was quite the moment, I guess you could say, the final key to many a thing. That it really was a dream come true. Something that I have desired for, out of my 21 years on this planet, at a bare minimum a good 15 of it, you know? Maybe not that high of a number, perhaps, because obviously my appreciation for the series kind of evolved and matured over time. But if we want to just take a general date and say, okay, when KH2 came out, to Sora being in Smash, you know, almost 15 years, kind of a... I think I may have said it in that reaction video or, you know, elsewhere. It really was a dream of that long, you know, that kind of crossover, and the healthy and good justice that was done to the character's inclusion in the series, just overall, really, was so good. You know, despite me, you know, kind of, this is kind of one of my fucking character traits, is like being such a fan of something, but not, you know, like the most knowledgeable or the fucking genius of the community or whatever. You know, I'm not someone who, for most media or things, you know, is like the most accomplished or has done the most or has made the biggest video on fucking XYZ thing, you know, or other ways. But, you know, I might not be cited as like the biggest fan, even though I proclaim to be. But Sora in Smash was such a dream. I can't say it enough that it was such a dream. And that was like just amazing, you know. I really just showed my soul, because that was just such a moment, you know, such a fucking moment. Even if I'm not playing Smash, even if I'm not a fucking pro Smash player, you know, just let me have this, you know. Let a man be excited about things, you know. Let niggas enjoy shit. Which, you know, I still vibe with. For the most part to this day, you know. I'd say I don't really shit on people just for liking most things in general. I'd rather take that up with the work itself, or, you know, try to extract, you know, a difference between me and someone who likes something else. You know, maybe they like it for a more personable reason, which I can largely sympathize or maybe even empathize with in many regards. But I think we're getting too deep here. I think we're getting a little too, I'm 13 and this is deep. But hey, what can I say? The DecompresSean Cast is back. The Sigma grind set is back. You know, I might have been dissuaded from it due to, you know, what I was doing and, you know, perhaps some minor influence from friends to, you know, maybe not do these things. But no, it's all about the Sigma grind set. It's got to continue, and it cannot stall. The DecompresSean Cast really should be monthly again, shouldn't it? Coming out at the end of every month. Maybe, if I feel like it. That's what I thought. But no, it probably just should. It probably just should just be a facet of consistency to remind myself and keep myself in check of what I do, and to further kind of reinforce, you know, my sort of output, and to remind myself to fucking make videos and just have fun and not be as lazy. I think it's really a good thing overall, and mayhaps should return, lads. So I hope you are hyped, and I am hyped. And mayhaps we end as we begin the DecompresSean Cast with some light comments. I'll keep it brief as usual for you all, but this is what we will perhaps end on. How did the DecompresSean Cast start? As we all know, if you listen to the last episode, one-sided thing, was BGE. So in the meantime, I would say, last several months, the last long while, year and a half, I would say, it's been clear, it's been obvious, in some veins, but not in others. But in some veins, I have moved on in some ways, but, I've been severely dissatisfied with Nate's output in the past and whatnot, and that kind of drove me to, do things like this, right? And I haven't watched a Best Guy Ever video in a long time. I haven't watched down and sincerely or earnestly finished a video. I've been unsubscribed, unfollowed from Twitter, etc., for, like I said, over this last year and a half or so. And it's been a lot better, obviously, in some ways, and not in some ways, depending on how you want to look at things, my overall sort of laziness, and how some element of soul has been lost in the meantime, but, obviously I've been less fucking mad, less fucking angry and whatnot, whether it be, completely justified, or, I don't want to say or not, but because it was completely justified, but that being said, let's just get into it. There was a post handful of days, maybe a week or two, or like ago now, of him clarifying something that if you paid a hint of attention, you probably already knew for several months. But that being, quote unquote, his Patreon, YouTube, etc., is no longer the primary source of his income or something like that. Put in more layman's terms, he's had a job for several months now. Something that we all knew and were totally theorizing on beforehand. I believe the post said back in something December 2021, this was removed from all his fucking posts or whatever. Pretty funny overall, I would say. But it kind of makes sense. In a rather oddly not bad and kind of relatable fucking essay. I was kind of known to fucking post in his comments sometimes. His TLDR for this Patreon text master post was, depending on how you want to look at things, 4 fucking paragraphs, which is pretty funny. That's just the TLDR, not even the post itself, but it was kind of a word salad to more or less just say, I have a job now. Take me at my word. Don't support me because you earnestly want to feel like it, or feel like you're supporting my livelihood or akin to that. Among other things, I would say, he desires to change the relationship between patron and Patreon dude to to be just purely you are choosing to support this work, whether without the string attached of this is my full-time thing, videos should come out every month. He desires to just kind of want patronage based off of merit only, which I was kind of shocked to read. This kind of development finally. I was kind of yo, this is like, for the most part, a pretty good idea. I would say it was, although, almost 3 years too late, he finally kind of like understood what he needed to do. And akin to what I was saying before, he even believes himself, although not his preference, that more soulful work comes from, having kind of time constraints and whatnot. But yeah, although, not, perfect by any means or whatever, there are still like some ironies present and whatnot, and there's a lot of reiteration and kind of tangents and dumb memes in the fucking post. It was surprisingly like decent, and I would say that like the state of Nate over time slightly recovered from when I was like reeing so hard about it in the past. A lot of my problems with it were, monthly cast not being monthly, his like huge streaming break that he did, some of those things, the stopping of PCP appearances, etc., etc. All of the shit that he stopped doing, was something that was like kind of a huge gripe of mine, right? Because it's like, why are you supporting this dude literally doing nothing? But thankfully, some of those problems have been alleviated in the meantime when he started streaming again, when he relaunched his One Piece show, despite the problems with that still to this day. But that's another facet entirely. That is to say, he is doing better. Nate heads are actually eating decently. If you want to consider perhaps patronage or even, a Twitch subscription, it is actually worth something now, because he's actually streaming and because he's actually making things again and actually is releasing some monthly casts, albeit I don't know if monthly. I'm not keeping track anymore, and I don't really give a shit, but it seems not as much like a shot into your own foot if you were to patron or subscribe in any way, as is or as was before. And like I said, I'm just kind of being observant. I'm just trying to kind of be an impartial watcher from afar, and I'm not crazy invested anymore, looking at the graph tree on and fucking whatnot, or commenting or even watching at all. I will admit I jumped in on the Kingdom Hearts 4 reaction live stream just to view that because it was kind of like a big thing, and that was it. I've never desired to stream or to tune into a stream these days. If he continues the Nuzlocke, I'll consider it, only because of the fucking the chunk of change I invested into that one. But I doubt it. I don't know if he's been asked about it, but even then, I probably would not tune into something like that, especially depending on the time as well. No idea when he's streaming or what his schedule is. Seems pretty random. And I'll probably get busy in the meantime, especially if I get a job. So, yeah, a lot of that stuff, while there's a lot of cope and see in the past, mayhaps getting better now, honestly. But yeah, I think I've held you guys too long in this vice grip of conversational looping ums and uhs and you knows and buts and howevers and mayhaps and akins. So yeah, I think that is all from me. I hope you enjoyed, and I may just see you next month on the DecompresSean Cast. And I'll see you next time. Bye.